Molt bona tarda a tots, autoritats, amics i amigues, dear Professor Aguillon. It's a true honor for me to introduce Philippe Aguillon for the prize Hipàtia, a person whose research I deeply admire, and I learned from some of his students, such as Daron Acemoglu, and some of my colleagues are also former colleagues in my PhD, such as Ufuk, are good, long co-authors of Philippe. So I feel I have almost a personal connection to the person who today I have the honor to speak about. I also, before speaking about the Professor Aguillon trajectory, I want to also congratulate Barcelona for his wise choice of the prize this year, but also for putting excellence and science in the center, and by keeping this commitment to promoting science at the first level internationally. Philippe Aguillon, as many of you know, is one of the world's most influential economists of our time and a leading voice on innovation, growth, and economic development. He was born in Paris, France in 1956, and he did his PhD in economics at Harvard University in 1987, institution where he was also a faculty member for 15 years. Nowadays, Professor Aguillon is Professor of Economics at Collège de France, INSEAD, and also at the London School of Economics. He has obtained numerous distinguished awards during his trajectory. I will not be able to list all of them, there are too many, but I would like to highlight some of these distinctions. He's a fellow of the Econometric Society. He was the recipient of the Johansson Award for the best European economist under 45, and he also obtained the VVVA Foundation Frontiers of Knowledge Award. And of course, last year in 2025, he was awarded the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science for fundamentally advancing our understanding on the relationship between innovation, competition, and long-run economic growth. A prize received together with Joël Mokyr and also his co-author Peter Howick. I'd like to also highlight the defining moment in Professor Aguillon's trajectory that involves MIT. So here I will do something very Catalan, which is escombrar cap a casa, which means to sweep towards one's home. I think in French you say something to pull the blanket towards oneself, something like that. Well, I wanted to highlight MIT because it's also my alma mater, and because the part of Professor Aguillon's trajectory and breakthrough scientific findings emerged in an environment quite unique that takes the best minds in the world and pushes them to think outside the world and is kind of like the right atmosphere to get these scientific backgrounds. That's something that we definitely have at MIT, but also we have in other places, of course, Harvard, but I think this is the type of atmosphere that we also need to keep fostering here in Europe and in particular in Catalonia. Anyways, going back to the story of MIT, the first job that Philippe Aguillon got was assistant professor at MIT, and it was there that he shared office next door with Peter Howick, who was visiting MIT that year. And that's the moment where they started talking about some of the loose ends on the growth theory at that time, in particular on what the Solow model was not able to explain yet, and that's where they brought both different visions in economics, one from micro theory and one from macro models, to really combine these different visions into a really scientific breakthrough. And what was that loose end of the Solow model? The Solow model, if you learn economics, you probably, or at least I did, I followed in love with economics because the Solow model, because of the elegance and the ability to explain to curious minds so much about how the world works. But still, he left one thing unexplained. he explained one very important thing, that without technological innovation, you cannot have sustained economic growth in economies. But of course, what this model left unexplained is where does this technological process, this technological progress comes from. Schumpeter, on the other hand, had offered some compelling intuition, creative destruction, the process in which new ideas emerge and displace the old. But that is where Schumpeter left it, at a compelling intuition, but it was not embedded and formalized into the model. So that left, after the solo model, combined with some intuitions, policymakers were left with little guidance on what levers to pull and what to do to spur technological innovation and then economic growth and development. And this is precisely the gap where Aguillon and Howitt set to close. And their model introduced firm heterogeneity and generated sharp predictions that could be taken to the data, opening a whole range of critical debates, some of them still alive today, such as how to handle the complicated relationship between firm competition and innovation, which I'm sure he will delight us with some extra details in his explanation. But further, or more importantly than setting a close gap and making a scientific breakthrough, in doing so, they spark a new generation of economists who have pushed this research agenda ever since, giving us a far richer understanding of how the economy actually works and what makes firms more innovative and ultimately paving the way for a smarter, evidence-based competition and economic policy. It's hard to overstate how important technological growth has been for human well-being. When my parents were born in Spain, life expectancy was just 50 years. Most of the population lived without running water, and GDP per capita was roughly half of what Argentinian GDP per capita is today. Today, Spanish GDP per capita is twice the level of Argentina GDP. In a single lifetime, that picture has transformed beyond recognition and has had a deep impact on human well-being. None of it would have been possible without economic growth and innovation. But the challenge of our time has shifted. The question is no longer simply how do we generate growth. From my point of view, the big challenge right now is how do we generate growth that ensures that the prosperity that is generated is genuinely shared with most part of the population. This is precisely where the tradition that Philippe Aguillon has helped to build becomes so vital. His work is pushing forward a new supply-side economics agenda, one that offers concrete insights not only on how to promote growth, but also on how to make growth reach broad sectors of society, generating prosperity that is more inclusive. An era, the days where some people believe that the economic growth would lift all boats are far behind. The days of a framework of growth, tax, and transfer was the only game in town, and that societies had only to do that is increasingly questioned. What is emerging is a new generation of economists compromised with the generation of more economic growth, but that want to find ways of that prosperity to be shared and to lead to better jobs for all. And this is why it's so important, or at least I especially value it, that in the Nobel Prize Acceptance Award, Philippe Aguillon identified 3 policies where there is no trade-off, 3 policies with which you can generate more innovation, more economic activity, but also more inclusion. Flexicurity, better education, I would say public and strong education, and increasing firm competition. In a moment where the future of democracy itself might well depend on our ability to generate shared prosperity, we need more voices like his. Voices that combine analytical rigor with genuine commitment to an economic growth path that doesn't leave anyone behind. Congratulations, Philippe, on this very well-deserved award, and thank you for being a continuous source of inspiration for so many of us.